Greetings, valued poll listeners, and welcome to episode 112 of the Poll List Podcast, a bi-weekly show about comics, pop culture, and faith. My name is Chris Poirier, and with me, as always, is the one, the currently distracted because he's posting on the internet, Hector. But
Gang, gang.
that's what we does. We post things to interwebs.
For
That's
your
what,
for your listening pleasures.
for your listening pleasure, and not for our own self edification whatsoever.
No, this is
Nah,
so people know
nah,
this exists, so they know to listen to it.
right? Right. Marketing.
Marketing, because that's my literal
Marketing.
that's my literal job for two organizations, and then I do it for a third organization for my own edification.
That one is just for my own entertainment value.
That's right.
Oh,
So how about this? Um, my the college that I do social media for, um, my boss said, "Hey, make a Wikipedia page for all of the baseball players who are signing on for the first year because we're starting a community college baseball team." And there's like, make a Wikipedia page for all of the baseball players, use the press releases, do all these things.
sure, sure.
Um, Went through, did that, and Wikipedia is like, no.
Out of all the things that Wikipedia is like, yeah, sure, that seems legit.
Oh, it says that the only source for the information was the school website, and that's not trustworthy.
Like I said, like I just previously said.
That's how I spent my workday like making baseball player Wikipedia pages that'll never exist. But carry on. Sorry, we're talking about comics.
Oh, adulting is overrated.
It's the worst.
It's the worst, but it pays them bills so we can buy comics for you.
Because that's a job.
That's a job. It is a thing. We both supported our local comic shops today so that you
Today's poll was
mm,
brought to you by $70,
that is no longer in my bank account, but
which is
is in
once
the
you
local
factor in
shopping economy.
once you factor in gas, that's 3 hours of my college day job
Brought to you by work.
work.
Oh, well, I guess you all know what that means. You need to
Strap yourself in.
strap yourselves in and prepare yourselves for we've got comic sign.
Better put the word out. Get ready for the nerd out. Better put specs on. Better bring next on. I cut handsome checks for my expansion sets. They call me Obi-Wan. Act like you know me, son. Better put the word out.
I'm ill strapped for that.
For the
Yeah,
nerd.
I gotta put your seatbelts on, folks.
No, wait. I'm actually prepared now. Hold on, ready?
Oh, he's got a strap.
There we go. It's a stole,
Ooh.
I think is the correct term.
hmm
It's not a scarf. There we go.
Yeah.
Officially strapped in.
So if you're listening to the podcast, you're like, what is he talking about? On today's episode of the Poll List, we've got a wonderful show for you. We're going to hit the latest news that you need to know, our must poll recommendations from the past 2 weeks. Like legit, it was 2 weeks since you've heard from us last. We did it. We did it, Hector. Let's call it a season. Twice in a row is good for us. Um, our fave new number ones and so much more. This is the Poll List Podcast.
Episode 112.
112.
Is it 112? That's correct,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, as long as I didn't mess up the numbering again, you have now listened to 112 hours of Chris and Hector.
I'm sorry. That's still less than One Piece. And
Yeah,
it's also less than Clone Wars.
and Fairy Tale.
Actually, no, I think it actually might surpass Clone Wars because we're usually longer than a couple Clone Wars episodes.
That's fair.
Carry on.
So some news.
TBD,
It's not all doom and gloom this week, kids. Um, Part of it still is, but not
Yeah.
all of it is doom and gloom this week. Um, just when you probably thought that, I mean, Netflix told us we're not getting any more Umbrella Academy, but um, Gerard Way and them sat down and went, but we're not done telling stories. So a new arc is coming from Dark Horse later this year. So the story does continue. So
Well, I don't know if the story continues. The story is getting print what they put in Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, they're calling it Plan B.
Well,
So maybe, sort
yeah,
of,
well, they said it was going to
because
be the
they did jump
Sparrow.
the shark.
Yeah, the Sparrow Academy wasn't in the book, not like that. And
Correct.
so what we're getting is the Sparrow Academy. So, yeah,
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 yeah.
that's cool. But again, all of the Umbrella Academy comics read like a fever dream with NyQuil.
Sure, let's go with that.
Tell me you've ever read a coherent Umbrella Academy comic.
I, I'm I'll go the next step and just say that anything that um Gerard did when he was like, let's do all the crazy comics. Everyone was like, yeah, let's do wow.
But listen, his Doom Patrol was coherent.
Yeah,
His he wrote
For Doom Patrol.
he wrote better Doom Patrol than he did Umbrella Academy.
I think that's fair, honestly.
So, but whatever.
Someone will hate us for it, but I don't really care.
It's accurate.
Yeah, I tend to agree because I went back and I read Umbrella Academy and I'm like, nah, this played better on screen than it did on paper. Um, and yes, Doom Patrol was actually kind of all kinds of amazing. What else do we got? Oh, this is actually pretty wild. Um, Donnie Cates, a name which you have not heard in a hot second.
It has been a small moment of time.
And it is because all the way back in 2022, he did get in a horrific car accident, and I think we talked about it back then because there was a while that it was just like, "Where's Donnie?"
Yeah.
And it was because dude was literally in the hospital, not knowing who he was, like a battle of amnesia and like all kinds of craziness. But apparently, he is back to the point where he's like, well, let's go back to doing the thing, shall we?" And it's not 100% on what books are coming, but he basically did take to the interwebs and said, later this year, sometime around summer, you're going to get the list of what projects I am returning on. Because there were projects that were announced that just didn't happen while he was recovering. And I mean, there was a lot there, a lot there. So it's good that he is feeling back like himself or what he wants to be a writer. So he said, "Okay, world, look about mid this year, and you're going to hear a lot more about Donny Cates. It's still going to be mostly Marvel projects because he had all kinds of contracts. So I'll be curious to see Donnie return and what projects come back to the table and all of those kinds of wonderful things because it's been a minute. Um, and he was writing some really wild, cool stuff.
Donnie was
So,
at kind of the peak of his game for a lot of what he was writing.
hmm and so looking forward to that for sure. So now into our bi-weekly installment of what on earth is Diamond doing this week?
Hold on. Were you going to talk about Captain America at all?
No, you are free to jump into that because Hector makes it to the movie. He'll have seen this movie 3 times before I've even considered it.
I am still very much the Thursday 7 o'clock, the week it comes out person. Just to say this, uh, it got a lot of bad critical reviews.
Eh, people
Yeah,
hate things.
people hate things, but I would just like to point out, in its opening weekend, it made its budget back. Plus, so now
Which
that's a win, and it did better than several Marvel movies in their opening weekends, and it actually is not the lowest rated Captain America either.
Yep.
Um, so it was good. Um, the one thing I will tell you, just towards because at this point in time it'll be like 2 weeks or a week and some change since it dropped. Uh, there is a post credit scene. There's one, and all I'm going to tell you is that it teases the upcoming Secret Wars stuff. Where you're actually
You mean more than they technically already have, and then just like took like many years of a break in teasing it?
where they're like it literally something said to the effect of, "Sure, you fight for this world, but what about all the other worlds? They're coming for you." Like type that. thing. It's like, okay.
Sure.
Woo.
Yeah. Ooh.
Woo. But yeah,
We get it. They're living amongst us. We didn't see this coming at all.
yeah. How'd that go for Secret Wars or not Secret? How'd that go for Secret Invasion for you guys?
Right. Well, oops. Um, it is interesting. I've seen some people say lately that we might actually officially have hit the marveled out that most people are just like, hey, it happened. That they're still the diehards. Absolutely. 100% agree. But there's a lot of people that are like, maybe the magic has finally shined off this one.
Well, it's definitely a strong thing of like, um, critics and like critical websites and stuff are hitting Marvel like out the gate the way they used to hit DC.
That's fair.
Because DC, if you're honest, if you're an
Mhm.
honest person, you know full well they hit DC way harder critically than they ever hit Marvel until the Eternals. Um,
Ew.
but even the Eternals didn't get the public bashing
No.
that most DC projects got. Um,
No.
and also on the Eternals, this is a direct sequel to the Eternals, technically.
Yeah, I gathered
Um,
that.
and because Tiamat's head or whatever is made of adamantium.
Well, here we are. Good
And so
times.
it's the world fighting over the adamantium resources. So, huzzah.
Hmm. Well, there you go.
There you go.
Hector's quick time reviews.
I actually did post like a more in-depth review, but I was just commenting they actually made their budget back and it wasn't a complete failure. And if you just want to go have a fun use of superhero popcorn, how about it? Oh, on the popcorn bucket. Hold on, I wish I scoot back a little bit. This is why you should watch the podcast, guys, so you can see
Yeah,
this.
so
Ready?
you can
Okay.
see it.
All right. So, shield,
Ooh, okay. Uh-huh. Yeah.
metal.
What? What? That's a big ass popcorn bucket, though.
Christopher.
I don't.
Now
It's a
somebody's got to edit things.
why? It's a big donkey. I don't know. It's a lot of popcorn.
Um, yes. So, sorry, supposed to use two hands. Isn't that cool?
That's pretty neat. And now you're gonna have to go over to YouTube. You'll see why.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry. Yeah. So, what is Diamond doing? Well, Diamond's auctioning off all their pieces. We might have alluded to that last time, but I know it's official now. And Free Comic Book Day is one of those assets. I have not heard any rumors on if there's any groups, organizations, whatever going in on it. It's still one of those big old question marks out there. But Diamond itself, Free Comic Book Day, one of their grading services, and one or two other things is buried in the auction. So, if you got some money laying around and you want to take over a failing comic book distributorship, your opportunity is now.
Is it failing or is it just
Oh, no, it's
owner?
failing.
Is ownership opportunistic? No. Failing?
Mm,
Okay, failing.
Failing.
Got it.
Because I'm not sure what kind of assets you're getting in that, seeing as they were already like closing distribution warehouses before.
I don't know. I get some pretty solid assets from like Big Lots closing sales and such, you know.
That's fair. Um, and I didn't have a single article to point to this, so I just wanted to talk about it because we mentioned last time on the what are the indies doing? Because almost all of them are distributed by Diamond, especially like a lot of your smaller places. So like Mad Cave, sorry, the list is long, but um, Dynamite is one of those companies. And the reason I actually wanted to talk about Dynamite is because if you kind of go back in time listening to us, we talked a lot about how Dynamite has increased their number of intellectual properties and licensing that they've done over the years and just gone all in on Saturday morning cartoon licensing and distribution. Like Dynamite owns most of the intellectual property rights to print like pretty much what was Saturday morning cartoons, early Disney cartoons, and like all kinds of stuff. And they've just been printing money and printing some pretty great licensed products, which is kind of the opposite of IDW and Titan right now. Um, who are like Titan literally exists just to reprint Doctor Who, Star Trek, I think is their other one, and a bunch of other stuff. It's a British company, but they only do licensed product. Um, but Dynamite, who's literally been printing money for the last few years, has not FOC'd in like 3 weeks, and they haven't told anyone why. Um, yeah,
For the people that don't know, tell them what that means, what FOC is.
so final order cutoff is what retail stores do week to week if they are ordering comics. So if you also go way back to like probably first season episodes where I talked a lot about this, is it's what we usually refer to as FOC math, or just the comic book industry in general, of we are FOCing and or ordering comics usually a month ahead of what we're actually selling, which means when we order a bunch of number twos and number threes of some books, we have not even sold the first issue of a book, which means retailers have no idea whether something's going to be really good or bad, um, until usually issue two or three, but we are ordering them before we've even sold the first book in that series, which makes comics it's literally almost a gamble pretty much every time you put an order in. But that's how we do, is we sit down and we stare at a computer screen and try to do math and figure out whether we order enough, not enough, somewhere in between, etc. So in other words, for about 3 weeks, Dynamite hasn't been able to been ordered for new stuff at all because it has not shown up in FOC. And a bunch of people asked after the first week, and they're like, "Oh no, we're still just trying to figure out this whole diamond thing." And then week two, they're like, "Oh, our bad, we're just running behind." But by the way, we probably aren't going to make it next week either. Is basically what they said this week, and everyone went, what?" It is estimated that they are probably trying to figure stuff out and find a new distributor. Like most of the indies over the last week or two went to Lunar. So good news. Like almost everybody said, cool, got it. Went and made them deals. And Lunar basically said, sure, we got you. So a lot of folks found their new home post Diamond over the last couple of weeks. And like I said, it would have been like 17 different articles of all the different places being like, we choose Lunar, instead of someone conveniently giving me a single article that basically says that most of the smaller print houses have made their decision. Looking at you, Bleeding Cool. Do better, Rich. Um, but it's curious to me for how good Dynamite's been doing that they're almost going to go what looks like 3 weeks without putting product out into the wild. So I don't know if that's a printing issue. I don't know if that is a bunch of stuff is sitting at Diamond and there's weird contractual things going on even in the meltdown, or if they just haven't figured out who's going to make the most sense for them, whether it's going to be Lunar, whether it's going to be Penguin Random House, whoever. But I can say just from talking to my local shop owner and everything that it's frustrating. It's frustrating for the retailers. It's frustrating for us because Diamond's running behind still. So there's some
Like
books
today, when I
we're
went to go
just not
pick
going to
up,
talk about. Yep.
when I went to go pick up books today, they were putting out indies, and we were still waiting on Diamond to show up,
Yep.
or Marvel to show up from Diamond.
hmm And you can get certain books through Lunar and others, but there still are some contracts that technically sit out there until everything works itself out. Um, which is why this is just complicated, to say the very least, right now. But go show your local comic shop some love and tell them that you love them, and here, take my money, because they're gonna need it while this all sorts out. And be patient, because yeah, it's kind of complicated, to say the very least, right now. But also, no, you're not alone. Pretty much all of us are kind of going through this wonderful dance of what comics show up, when they show up, if they show up. Um, so interesting times.
It is.
Um, but a whole slate of conventions seem to be good for the summer, and people still seem excited. So I'm hoping this whole thing will work itself out, and the train will just keep on trucking. And by this fall, we'll be talking about how isn't it silly that there's a handful of people that thought for the 47th time that the comic book industry was going to implode.
Oh, I've got one newsy note.
Ooh.
Did you hear about KatsuCon?
No, I know it happened.
Okay. Friday at KatsuCon, a sewage line burst in the ceiling
Oh, I did see a picture of that. Yeah, in the artist alley somewhere, right?
in Artist Alley. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a worst nightmare. I did see that picture and I went, ooh.
I saw video on TikTok. So, yeah. Um, they said Artist Alley is literally a poop show. So,
Oh no.
yeah, that's a thing. I've had bad days in Artist Alley. Not that one.
But I've had bad days, but have you had?
Nope. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad day. Eesh. I'm sure someone will find a way to make unique money off from it.
Oh, totally. Absolutely.
Ah, yeah. And anything else in your travels of newsy value?
No,
Hmm?
not crazy. I did a big ministry event this past weekend, but it was a youth ministry conference. It wasn't like a con. And
Mm.
then my first con is going to be this weekend. So,
Eee.
yeah.
All about them things.
Hmm.
All right. Well, I guess that's gonna do it for this week in Diamond news. I mean, comic book industry news. Um, So that's your biweekly look at the industry and us trying to give you a glimpse behind the curtain of what's plaguing our local shops and the industry in general. As always, you can join in on the conversation with Hector and I and all of your nerdy friends over on the Love Thy Nerd Discord. So hop on in, begin your geeky adventure together with us. We're awesome that way or something. Tell us what you liked, what you hated, or possibly what we missed because if I'm being blinded by 13 pages of what Diamond is or isn't doing this week, I might have missed something.
It's like that.
It is unfortunately like that a bit right now, but that's why when I was like, "Oh, Donny Cates coming back," is like that's like cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I like it when I hear about projects because otherwise, like half of the industry news
Is
is
everything
like
shutting down?
it's no, well yeah, it's that or it's literally everybody's press releases on here's the event of the summer that none of you are going to read.
Or you will, and then you'll be sad you did.
Yeah, and then you'll be like, "Oh, but we're actually gonna kind of talk about one of those, so save it."
Yeah.
Um, because you're gonna convince me why I probably should have actually read the first book in this instead of just jumping in at a random point. Um,
Yes.
oops. So yeah, hit us with that comic book knowledge then, because I might have missed this book, and that might have been part of it. But I knew it was part of the thing because it's an event.
It's
So
got the
literally,
label. Yeah.
yeah, literally every book right now has the label. Um, so yeah, tell me about it.
Oh, we doing that? We talking comics?
Yeah, let's talk about comics. So, and I'm not telling you to start with the thing that Marvel has done to us, but start with the thing that Marvel has done to us.
All right, so up front, I will start with One World, right? Yeah, One World Under
One World
Doom,
Under Doom.
um, which sounds more like a description of our world than the comic.
Ugh.
Um, but effectively, everybody wakes up to Doom making a press release. He's also Sorcerer Supreme, making a
Yeah,
press release saying, "Hey, uh, probably while you were sleeping, all the countries in the world pledge their fealty to me, and I'm now your leader. And the
What?
Doom and the Doom flag flies over everywhere, including the White House. He's like, hey, we're gonna set some ground rules. There will be no wars between countries. And there will be no attacking
Like one
Latvia.
does.
Yeah. He's like, we are all peace under Doom, and no one's gonna fight each other, and blah blah blah. And cue to like the Avengers sitting around like, what the actual crap? Um, this has to be a lie,
Latveria
whatever.
is finally like cool.
And like Wakanda welcomed it with open arms. That's what, yeah. Um, so the first Avengers scene you see is everybody around the table with Captain Marvel stating, "I'm open to suggestions."
So,
So what are we doing? And then it's collectively um uh all this stuff happening and the Avengers are like whatever, like how do we even deal with this? And then Baron Zemo pops up on the stuff. He's like, we will never agree to this, blah blah blah. Hydra move out. Then about 30 minutes later, you've got Baron Zemo on screen. Like, I've been convinced.
yeah, I'm good.
I'm good now. And so the Avengers make their way over to Latveria, whatever
Mm, yeah, that
latitude,
place.
and take out Zemo, and discover he's a Doom bot. Surprise, surprise. Um,
Yeah,
and
okay.
and then Hydra starts like attacking everybody, and then Doom rolls in on a Tyrannosaurus Rex that's covered in Doom armor and saves the people from Hydra. And they're
Okay.
like, and the Avengers are like, "You killed Zemo." He's like, "Of course I killed Zemo. He was a freaking Nazi." I was like, "I killed Red Skull too. He was a Nazi." He's like, "Why are we still allowing Nazis?" And that's literally the whole book.
And scene.
It's scene, and it's like literally like everybody's like, Doom rolls in on a T-Rex. He's like, "I'm not the bad guy. I killed the Nazis. I'm trying to hold this all together. Calm, calm your pectorals." Um, but and I'll say this. You ready? You ready? Here for it. Listen. It's the best Avengers book I've read in a long time. Just this one issue. I can't say where it's going, but this one issue was hands down the best Avengers book I've paid money for, maybe the last year.
That says something.
It may not be the highest like level to go off of, but it's progress.
Yeah.
So
Well, at least we've started.
and it was good. It was good teamwork. It was good interaction, plausible scenarios. I mean, it was like this was fun. So yeah.
This was fun. Things happened here. Well, then, I'll follow on then because I was like, oh, look, one world under Doom or something. Um, but they did Doom Academy. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm gonna read Academy, Strange Academy.
And I knew
But
you would. So
right. So, and the best part about it is like they 100% leaned in on this as Doom is now the Sorcerer Supreme. And like literally the first like 4 to 5 pages of this is, well, I guess if you change Sorcerer Supremes, then you change the name of the school. But this seems a little heavy-handed. And he moves the academy to Lavaria. So there's a discussion of that like half of the parents aren't sending their kids there because it's Doom, and they're like, nah. We're gonna see how this one plays out. But the entire first issue basically is the kids relocating to Doom being the Sorcerer Supreme and them starting their new school and everything. But all of your favorite lovable characters are on the school newspaper.
nice.
And so the backstory that they've given you is Doom's propagandist, the editor, son is the editor of the school newspaper. And they have a discussion about whether it's propaganda or if they're actually taking on the machine. So there you go. The entire One World Under Doom isn't going to have political undertones at all. But it's the nonsense of Strange Academy, but now Doom Academy, and now we have the fact that some of your favorite characters are writing for the Doom Academy Gazette or whatever on earth they called it. I forget. So shenanigans,
Shenanigans.
and I'm here for it. So like comics are the best when they almost don't make sense, but are still pretty to look at and are at least like dumb entertaining. Like I do love me a comic, an indie comic that is like, wow, that really made my head hurt. But I'm also very much for the that was cray cray and in a good way. And honestly, I think almost all of my choices this week kind of fall in that category. So take that for what you will.
Okay.
So yeah, what else you got in that pile? So here we're gonna go do that thing where we go every other book, keep
Okay.
it different and fresh.
I'm gonna go with string number three. I introduced string number one.
You
Uh,
did, and I was trying to remember what string was, and you just reminded me by that.
so string is the story of a pseudo clairvoyant who sees strings tying people together in the ether. Blue string means intimacy, black string means death or murder. And I didn't learn until like one of the second or third issues that if you're a multiple killer, you have a line for each person.
Ooh,
So she can not only see who the killers are,
you can find out who the real bad people in the room is.
like she can see that like one of the police chiefs has six strings on him. And the thing is, the strings only appear if they're murder,
Mm-hmm.
not
Right, right,
self-defense or anything else.
right.
Um, and so they begin investigating, how to get from point A to point B, what to do next. And it very much follows the police procedural scenario. There's somebody waiting in their apartment to kill the main character. They try and investigate some people they've been following around. And it continues to be a really great uh police procedural murder mystery type thing. It's funny, and there's at one point in time, I think it was my what pushed it up on the list for me was they walk into an apartment and there's a dude waiting in the bathroom in a ski mask. And hold on, what's this line? The lady's name is Yoon. He says, Yoon, you have a man in your bathroom in a ski mask. Should he be here? Do you have a boyfriend that does this? And she's in the kitchen preparing food. And she's like, hold on, I need a weapon. And she's in the middle of cooking, and she says, "Oh, I will not be the woman with a frying pan." And then when she can't find anything else, she's like, "F you, frying pan," and like hits the dude with the frying pan. It's just like it's funny, it's witty, it's creative. There's plot twists. The next two issues I mentioned, the first issue kind of swung surprisingly on some adult content. Um, issue two and three don't have any of that,
Mm.
minus dialogue. So, this continues to be one of the most fun books I've read. It is only a five issue series. Um, so I've read the first three. The next one comes out in March.
So it's gonna get to the point.
It's gonna get. I mean, it could have near about got to the point now, like, but they're making the story kind of fulfilling and entertaining. So
It's generally speaking a good thing
yeah, it
when
is.
it comes to storytelling that, they actually like tried.
Yeah.
Congrats. They tried. Um, I'm kind of mainstream this week. Um, Zatanna makes her all in uh debut, and this is weird, which should be expected. Um,
I mean, it looked even really weird for
lots of
like
backwards reading. For those of you that don't know, that's how all of her spells work. They're just backwards.
now. And here's the thing, though. There's been some DC books recently where her spells were not only backwards, but backwards and upside down.
Hmm.
That was a hard route to
Yeah,
go.
I think there was one or two in here as well, but it's a pretty book. She's currently doing a magic show in a very specific theater that's tied to the plot point, and they kind of shift realities in this particular book. So, like we were talking about popcorn fun and that kind of thing, I feel like that's where this is right now. That there's a lot of weird stuff going on, but it's pretty and backwards reading, and it's Zatanna. Um, which does have a Black Label book going on at the same time, but this is more of your what you
That's
would
over.
right. Um, but this is more of just Zatanna and a little reminder of the background story there of her father and the show and how she learned magic and all that, but kind of straight into the oh, there's random things going on. How much of this is magic and how much of this is real? So it's a fun journey. And I think that's what's I'm enjoying about a lot of the all in right now is kind of like rebirths. They're all really decent jumping on points. And you can find out pretty quick whether, yep, I want to keep going or nah, that's just not going to be my jam. Um, so find some of your characters that you think you might be interested in, grab some number ones, and then find out.
I mean, because even the Zatanna bringing down the house was a nice short little like. Here's a short story. We'll see where we go from here. Yeah, it definitely wasn't like the longest commitment or the worst thing to actually have to be involved in. So,
So that's that. What else you got?
okay, I'm gonna go ahead and throw in an honorable mention here,
Ooh,
because this one almost made the list, but almost.
just not quite, but here you are. You're going to find out anyway.
All
Bonus
right,
content.
all right, so Poison Ivy number 30 did a what's it called? Uh Fearful Symmetry.
Hmm.
So check it out. Look, mira, venga aquí. Um, so look, here's the cover on one side, here's the cover on the other.
One more time.
Okay, so in this one, it's got
Yeah,
Ivy
yeah.
in front of the swamp, and the
Yep.
background of the swamp is Janet. You flip it
It's the
over,
reverse. Got it. Yep.
it's Janet and Ivy. And so if you start reading from this side, it's a Janet story, and it meets in the middle and goes upside down. And where it's if you start the other side, it's a Poison Ivy story. Now
I
here's the
actually like comics that do this. Local Man did this
I was
where
about
it
to
was
say you
telling,
did it with Local Man. Yeah.
yep, it tells the current story, but then the reverse is the 1990s original story.
Now look at it unfolded. Ooh, see, it's pretty neat. But the reason this is an honorable mention is because the Janet side was dope and the Ivy side sucked.
That's interesting.
The Janet side is now Janet is in a weird thruple, quadruple, whatever, between Ivy, Harley, and Croc. So
Hmm.
Janet wakes up beside Croc and goes to investigate a mystery for Ivy, and shenanigans happen.
Shenanigans ensue.
And Sue and shenanigans and Janet's dialogue is great, and it starts to talk about it's like you ever think about that one random kid from high school? Maybe you should do that more often. And and it's got Ivy narrating. Do I ever think about Janet if she's not in front of me? No. Uh, and it's
Dang.
like the dialogue is such witty stuff. She's like, I don't want to just be a sidekick. Because they Harley used to refer to her in the book as side piece. Um, uh, or she was Janet from HR. But like
That's
either
good
way,
too.
the Janet part was fun, but like the Ivy part was a little boring. So Wonder Woman 18, what was supposed to be the climax, and from my billing of this, what I understood, and it's
Hmm.
not. It is
Womp
not.
womp.
Is it great? Yes. This is probably one of the most fun pieces in this Wonder Woman story, but I thought this story concluded with 18, and there's more to come. Um, but this has Wonder Woman literally marching up to pick a fight in the White House, which this book will probably be its on its own special level of marketing, and people are going to collect it for other reasons.
Yeah,
Uh,
that checks out.
but it literally is her sitting with her back against the Washington Monument, eating an apple, looking over the lawn before she storms into the White House and starts handing people their booties. Um, because the sovereign is in the White House with a bunch of Wonder Woman's villains. But here's this quote. And again, this is Tom King at his Tom Kingiest.
Mm,
It says, "This is the tale of our country, is it not? Or at least the myth of it. That at times chaos comes to our shores. We are tested and we are wounded and we are broken, but we are not conquered. From the low places we put our faith in our better angels, and with their blessed nurture we rise." And then it shows Wonder Woman marching literally to the White House. It says, "We rise uh, to face our enemies once again," and shows her walking into the White House. And like, you know, that's a poster all on its own.
mm.
And it goes through the deal. You get her versus Darkseid's daughter. You get look at this panel of just her being shot up on the White House lawn, like of
Mm.
just gnarly stuff. You've got the Wonder Woman side kids of like Yara and Donna and everybody just
Yep.
protecting the baby. Um, you've got, I mean, there's just a lot of good climax stuff in this, and it is very close to being a conclusion, but not close enough. Um,
Psych.
yeah, it's like I thought it was going to be in, but it literally has her. It is Fury Part 4,
Mm. But
and it
that
says,
means there's one more go.
yeah, it says to be continued, but the book ends with the bad guy sitting at the desk in the Oval Office and her coming in the front door. Um, and it's got them talking to her baby. Um, no, she warred instead with a fuel of a different motivation. Um, different an inferno inside her that made no man or that no man might quell. One that carried her far beyond those of her contemporaries antagonists. You see, your mother, Trinity, she did not fight for agency or vengeance or even justice. No, God help us, she fought for love. And her kicking in the door to the White House is just like, okie dokie.
Got it.
Uh, it was dope. It was good. It was a good portion of this Wonder Woman series. There have this book alongside some of the other books kind of suffered from tie-ins and drag-ons and stuff like that. But this is definitely feels like it's what's the word? Penultimative.
Oh,
The next to last chapter.
penultimate or whatever.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
it feels like that.
Yeah, we're
Like
not that we're yeah, okay. It's almost over.
yeah, yeah. It's that book. It's the almost over book.
It's the almost over book. It's the to be continued
Well,
question mark.
he didn't say that it was going to be over. He said it would have to wait until book 18 for the next part of this conclusion. But again, I thought that meant it was over. But whatever.
Haha, just kidding.
It was. What you
Yeah.
got?
All right. Cause it's all right. Look,
Hear
your
me out.
friendly neighbor.
Have you
Yeah,
watched the
so
show yet?
oh yeah, I'm still not like watching super fast, but yes. It- okay, look.
Hear me out, bro. Hear me out.
I've said this before. I really like Peter Parker when he's in high school and it's just fun.
Yes.
Worst villains ever. Not in
Yes.
terms of them being like bad people, just dumb villain. Everything else is fun though. Everything else is Peter trying to figure out his new suit, how his gadgets work, and all that. But literally the worst villains I think I've seen in a comic book, but it's not enough to detract from just how fun it is. But what is the guy's name? Like, this is like the three of them are like cowboys from like the Wild West, and like one of them, his name is like Mr. Oklahoma or some nonsense. And I'm just like, please stop. Um, is it here? I don't know, but like like really bad. It's like Anchorman, but with like cowboy hats,
Oh no.
but not funny. Um, so other than that, it's still I like this style of animation slash illustration, and Peter is just fun. Trying to figure out his Spidey stuff. So I'm not gonna let quite possibly the dumbest um villains I've seen in a hot minute in comics, and that says something because DC gave us Calendar Man, but and Condiment King, but both those people ultimately end up being kind of creepy and kind of
I was
wild.
like,
So
Condiment King's a baller. I don't, be
right,
disrespectful.
um, this is just bad, and you can come at me or at me on those. I don't care. I no, but it does not detract from the experience of Peter being in high school and living out all that fun. So there it be.
Okay.
Uh,
I still haven't watched it since the last time we did this, but like
I
at the
I
same
haven't
time.
I haven't I haven't either. Like it's my filler show right now. For when I need a 30 minute.
See, I don't have that because I'm doing One Piece. And One Piece is like
Yeah.
what I listen to when I drive, what I do when I'm working. Like I'm on,
And
but
you're
but
going to for the rest of your life.
no, wait, buddy. I'm about to be done so I can actually write again because I need to write a book. Um, I'm on 1070 of
Ooh.
1138.
How much time is that?
Well, generally speaking, it's 20 minutes per, but there's almost 6 minutes of theme song and
Right, right.
recap. I skip every time. But so either way, if you're saying
Let's be
15,
f- let's say 20 minutes just to be fair.
yeah,
Times like 1,000 something.
1067.
All right. Let's put that in. That is 356 hours.
Yeah, that feels like it.
Yeah, hold on. Let's keep going on the math there. Or 15 days.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Okay. Continue
But like
as you were.
I'm just so close that I'm barely watching anything else or doing anything else in my free time until I
You're
get this
like,
done.
I'm gonna make it.
I just want to check it off so it's not waiting on me anymore. Um, but I really do need to write. I've got like 4 chapters marinating that I need to put on paper. Um, but speaking of animes that won't ever end, um,
It's going to.
it's going to. So again, this is another I misunderstood scenarios. I thought I read concretely that My Hero Academia ended with this issue in February that dropped on February 11th, that volume 40 was the final one.
Just
It
kidding.
is it is not. Apparently volume 42 is the final one, which drops in freaking October.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, was this great to read? Absolutely. Um, this is we're in the short rows where almost every book is just a battle or 2 battles.
Mm. Yep.
Um, so this whole book, and I don't know if I mentioned this or where we've talked about it since then, or if I talked about this when Todd was on here. Um, like the dude on the cover, if you're not aware, that's All Might. Um,
Dang.
All Might and the effort of not letting Deku uh go down alone went full Iron Man.
Got you.
And so he had a team build him a Batman looking Iron Man suit. And so he holds his own against One for All. So the first half of this book is All Might versus One for All. Um just trying to hold his own, and to the point where all One for All peels him out of the suit like an a orange chocolate thing at Christmas.
Oof.
And like, buddy, I'm telling you, they played on every emotion from Firefly to everything else to pre-break our hearts because Deku and Bakugo and everybody and their mama is too far away, and One for All holds All Might up like Bane holds up Batman,
Mm.
where the whole world's watching them. There's little kids crying at home watching this fight, and the thing that really started getting you was in Deku's memories or in his internal monologue or whatever, All Might's One for All presence was always blurry because he was still alive. All Might's One for All or All for One presence or whatever. I'm mixing the names up, but you rock
Yeah.
with me. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Uh, Deku's power started showing All Might clearly
Hmm.
inside of him because All Might was that close to death.
Yeah.
Um, and I also don't know if you know where this is going because this is one of the areas where I feel like because if you've read the end of Demon Slayer doesn't Demon Slayer ends well, but it doesn't stick the landing because it ends weird. My hero isn't going to end weird, but dang it, they hit some weird on the curb as they were driving by the end. Um, because All Might or One for All got some regenerative, degenerative thing where his body was going to de-age and then his consciousness was going to fully load in the hand boy. Toriyama, right? Maybe.
Mhm.
Uh the dude with the hands all over him. He's going to can possess One for All's full consciousness,
Mm.
even though he's fighting it. Um, but the deal is one for,
Shigaraki.
yeah, Shigaraki, there we go. Um, One for All is de-aging, and so the longer the fight goes on, the younger he is.
Mm.
Um, and so when he's about to kill All for One or All Might, he looks like a 25-year-old. And then in the last minute, literally, and you see the leaf. There's like a page where literally, I'm gonna find it. There's a page where like a single leaf is blowing past Deku's face, and he's like, "I remember the feel of the wind that day." Like it's like,
Hmm.
like no, no.
I mean,
Um,
I feel like I've told people I was like, if you thought this was going to end in anything other than like sad, you might not be familiar with anime or manga or
well, what's funny? That conversation actually happens.
That checks.
Like verbatim. Uh, so anyway, they're trying to get there, trying to do this, and I'm gonna show you this one panel. Um, that's like 15-year-old One for All holding the battered body of All Might,
Yeet.
just like out there. Um, and that's right before he goes into the full Bane pose and everything else. See if I can find the Bane pose without spoiling anything. Um, but so here we go, here we go. Okay, look right here, middle page.
Yep.
He's straight up got him in the Bane pose. He's about to break his back, the whole deal. And then like they do that, and then one of the next pages you see is there's straight up like Deku with a single leaf blowing by his face.
Eesh.
And you see Bakugo blast past him and rescue All Might at the last second. Oh, here's the sad leaf pose though. Look at this thing. Tell me
Yeah.
that's not like a Firefly throwback of like we're about to kill your favorite person. Um, but either way, Bakugo finishes the fight against One for All, and One for All disintegrates into a fetus before poofing into the air.
Hmm.
So that's a thing.
Mm.
Weird. So that was the weird, like y'all aren't sticking the landing on that one. Also, somewhere in that fight before Bakugo showed up, Stain came back to fight One for All to save All Might.
Yeah, I had a feeling something like that was coming because even in the show, they when they reintroduced him and he was kind of like, "Oh, my bad. There's something worse out there."
Yeah, and that's what it was.
And I was kind of like, mm,
So somewhere in All Might's like subconscious when he thinks he's about to die or whatever, or he's recovering, uh, there's this dialogue. He says, "So this isn't when it was supposed to happen, not I." No, it was not. He says, "This was where you dream. This is where your dream died. Fate was reshaped. You see." Um, and so like whenever Night Eye saw him dying, it got changed. Um, he says, and then All Might says this, but everyone knows the old master is meant to die after passing the torch. And Night Eye says, "You read too many comic books."
no, maybe.
um, and then Night Eye says, "You are a hero, but you're also a human. You can't possibly die so readily." Um, and then the rest of the fight. Oh, by the way, I just want to show you how creepy this is because Baby One for All is still slaughtering people.
Mm,
Ready? Look at this. This is
yep.
Baby One for All slaughtering people.
And full anime.
Full anime. But look, this one's even worse. Look at that face.
Yep. There we are.
Yeah. And but then it ends with gearing up for the final bouts of Deku versus Shigaraki. Um is like right where it ends, like the two of them clashing. But I will say that there's one point that also is maybe one of the funniest things in the books I've read in a very long time. Is what's the dude with the belly button gun?
Oh,
You know who I'm talking about, right?
yeah. Of course, he's kind of a major part of the story at this point.
He is a major part of the story. Uh, either way, he fights off and defends somebody and saves the day. And I can't show this on the podcast because Matt will get mad at me. Um, even though it's PG, it's a little not PG. Um, uh, Homeboy's belly button goes off so strong that it de-invisibilizes Invisible
Of the
Girl,
girl. Yeah.
and she now kind of looks like a. I guess she's just like either translucent or she's this gives me translucent vibes, but
Mm,
she's visible.
got you.
And so she freaks out because she was sitting there battling a dude like naked.
Yep.
And she runs off into the woods. Don't look at me. No, being invisible was like my whole identity. And I'm like, I feel you, kid. That's real talk. Okay, but yeah, My Hero is my heroing. It's really good. 2 books to
All
go.
right. Yep. Two books to go, and I can't live here, and I don't think you've had a chance to read it anyway. But Daredevil 18.
Wait,
Um,
wait, wait. Show me the cover again. Hold on. Yeah, I definitely don't have that cover.
yeah. He's still battling demons inside of different people that have made up all the different um sins, and he's finally going after Pride, I believe. And Pride is occupying Foggy,
Right.
and there is courtroom shenanigans, which is some of Chris's favorite Daredevil for random reasons. But here we are. So
Yeah, I've
he
not read that.
the short version, and spoiler alert for Hector, he beats Pride by basically defeating himself and being like, I don't care, I'm a terrible person and I've done terrible things and I just can't forgive myself for that. And Pride's like, no, try harder. And he basically kind of gets poofed because he can't fathom why excuse me, why Matt Murdock as this lawyer would basically stoop so low as to basically be like, yeah, I guess you beat me. I did some terrible things. My bad. Um, so he gets Foggy back. Um, but the very end of the book is basically giving Matt someone about to die, and a demon's holding two individuals, and it's like One of them's gonna die. Who gonna be?
Oh no, we're back to Batman Forever.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this much. It is someone very important to Matt and someone who is literally one of his worst enemies. So he's facing him with a
It's Elektra and Kingpin.
no.
Okay. Oh, is it the kid from the orphanage?
Nope.
Okay, I'm gonna stop talking.
Yeah. It when you see you'll go, "Oh." Um but it's a real good one in terms of he's basically like, "Cool. Well, you don't have a choice. Somebody's dying. Are you going to save your friend because you're selfish, or are you going to kill someone that you detest because of your wrath?" And it's like, ooh, let's get after it. Um, so yeah, I won't spend any more time there. So let's see. Does this leave us with our number ones?
It does.
All right, let's hit it.
I got stories to tell my brother. All right. We were talking about this pre-casting of
Yep.
why I think this. So my new number one that absolutely shocked me was Eddie Brock Carnage number one. Look, I'm speaking positively about a Marvel book. And I'm speaking positively about a Marvel book starring Eddie Brock. Ayo.
I still don't know.
Okay. So I don't know how Eddie Brock ended up as Carnage. I don't care. It don't really matter. Um, uh,
Someone knows.
someone knows. It doesn't matter. So, uh, oh, by the way, I love the back cover. It says that
Yeah.
One World Under Doom is the status quo shattering event. Got some big cojones on you to be saying stuff like that, Marvel.
All
Y'all
right.
ain't read your books lately. Um, um, but this book picks up with Brock on a plane, waking up and saying, "I've got to kill someone on this plane."
Yeah, that seems like Carnage.
But he's on the plane because now, guess what? Eddie Brock and Carnage are doing Dexter. They're
Okay.
hunting down serial killers to kill them because A, Carnage and finds that fun, and
Yep.
B, Carnage is looking for a new host.
Mm.
He doesn't
Ah.
he doesn't want to stick with Eddie because Eddie's a fuddy duddy.
Yep.
He's looking for a maniac,
Yep.
and but he's trying to murder all the maniacs in the way. Now, some cool things that I've never seen before in terms of Carnage ever, and this might be a pre-existing condition. I don't know. But look at this if you can see it, and it's very subtle. This is very much like the string. While
Mm-hmm,
he's on the plane, like the Carnage stuff just starts going into people's ears,
mm-hmm,
scanning their brains.
mm.
So he's searching for who the serial killer is on there and finds out eventually that it's the pilot. So he walks in there to stop the pilot. The pilot murders the other pilot. And so then you remember how brutal that page was where the Sentry ripped a dude in half and it was like a two-page spread.
Yeah.
So there's a one-page spread that's maybe as gruesome or more.
Well, like I said last time, I read a Red Band book that featured Muse. So,
Not dude. Um this is special.
mm.
This is a literal special kind of Carnage. So they killed the pilot and then Carnage is all right, let's peace out. And tries to jump out the plane. And Eddie's
And
like,
it's like,
no,
no, no, no.
we can't just leave all these people. And so Eddie rescues everybody and it annoys Carnage. And so Carnage is like mad at him during the process, but literally he makes a whole sack and just like Santa's the people to the ground. And what you see, I know you can't read the word bubbles, but the word bubbles are Carnage cussing Eddie out for defiling his legacy by saving people's lives.
By saving them, yeah.
But then in the process of saving them, Eddie blacks out. He wakes up in his bed, and the only two bodies found were the body of the two pilots in the crash.
Ruh-roh.
So nobody knows what happens to the rest of them. So the whole other half of the book is a conversation between Eddie and Carnage in the below. Now, this is kind of where it gets especially gangster. Sule, who's writing this, has Carnage dressed like he's almost like he's in a zoot suit. So Eddie's in his boxer briefs, and Carnage looks like he's going to a ska concert.
Yeah, it checks out.
And so he's got a cane, dude, and he's being like a malicious, cold gangster. Um, and so the conversation goes back and forth, and he's like, "Don't think you have any sway in this, any power of this." He's like, but the next to last page is like, he says, "Oh, come on, I've got some ideas, but it's not really my choice. Out there in the real world, you're steering the ship. So, my good friend Eddie, what comes next is our little hunt." Um, and he says, "You tell me." And he shows him a gallery of potential people to be his next host. And you've got Silver Surfer.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of those people is Hella.
Uh, you've got the Silver Surfer, Hela, Elektra, Bullseye, Galactus, Venom, whoever the new Venom is, and somebody I don't recognize, and Jean Grey.
Show it to me.
Uh, below Venom and Jean Grey, this dude.
Oh shoot, who is that? Hmm, hmm. I'm
Yeah, I
not
got
sure. It's
nothing.
not. Yeah. All
But
right.
either way, this was the most fun Venom slash Carnage book I've read in a hot minute. There you go. I
All
promise
right.
you, if you picked it up, you would not feel like that was dollars wasted.
All right. My hit it, and
Cease it.
and we out. Um, Ripperland from Dark Horse,
Jack the Ripper book.
sort of. So think Westworld, but Victorian London. So the rest of the world is normal future,
Yeah.
but some stuff has happened, and Great Britain basically has to stay old timey. They explain why. It's kind of weird. I'm gonna let you read it. Super adult book. Let me just say that right now.
Super adult.
Super adult.
Super.
It's violent and some other things that probably didn't need to exist in a comic, but here you go. It says Dark Horse right there, so they're taking some liberty. But quite literally, you know, think Westworld, but Jack the Ripper land. But um, somebody who is visiting, which means they don't understand the Victorian thing or everything, get themselves rippered, and they bring an outside person from America to help them figure it out. So you're still kind of unfolding why they are in Victoria slash Ripper era, and there's Ripperish stuff going on, but it's technically in this island of the rest of the world is normal. So that's why I say it's kind of like this Westworld concept. Um, because it seems to be a thing that people visit kind of for entertainment value. But they haven't unpacked it all the way. So it's just kind of a weird idea.
Okay.
Steve Orlando's writing it. He's been doing a lot of weird, kind of creepy type stuff lately. So do the thing. It's weird. It's kind of a weird art style too. So the whole thing I think is designed to make you kind of feel uncomfortable, and it does that. So, like I said, sometimes I'm just going to bring you a book that makes you go, "What?" And either they're really going to make this interesting, or I'm going to get 3 issues in and go, "Well, you had an idea there, and you wandered into a back alley in Whitechapel, and you got slashed to bits." See what I did there?
Yep.
That's quality entertainment right there. Um,
I want to mention one thing when you're done.
yeah, that's it.
I mentioned this before, but they are re-releasing the original Hush's storyline with like the holographic covers, and the holographic covers even cover the advertisements that were originally on it in
Oh, that's cool.
2003. Um, but this one comic is the comic that got me started reading comics again.
That's the one.
That's the one. And so I bought this one solely to be like a good memory of that. Um, but
Aw.
here's books that I don't care about anymore. Ready? Uh, well, I don't know about this one, but Batman and Robin this week was kind of a newsy thing because Robin quits, or he says he's going to quit, air quotes.
Good for him.
Uh, uh, Absolute Superman is so beyond losing me. Like, I know there's only one left, but I want to call my comic shop and say, don't. It is just not fun to read. Um, Nightwing also. Ugh.
Mm.
Ugh. Ugh. Absolute Batman is okay. That was the last one for this arc. Um, and did you read this one? The Batman 157?
I'm basically gonna pick it back up when Hush 2 starts. It's just it lost me.
It lost you. So the American hero that has been part of it, and like, dude, this was like so damaging storyline wise because it had Jim Gordon having an affair with the mayor's wife and then killing the mayor was part of this storyline.
No.
And that part of the reason he killed the mayor is because the mayor found out about his affair with his wife and confronted him about it, and Gordon shot him. Well, you find out that Gordon was wearing Jervis Tech AI glasses that the Riddler swapped out for his to force him to shoot the dude. And so Batman proves that that was happening, and then Gordon says, "Yeah, but the glasses broke before I shot him."
So we're back to Gordon's just a terrible human being, and
That he had an affair with a married woman and then killed her husband. He straight King Davided this piece. He
Yep.
Uriah Mayor
Yeah.
Nanotako.
Mm.
So, and you want to know what
Mhm.
really, like, how not only did we jump the shark, but we resurrected the dead shark and dragged it through the desert like our deceased mother.
like our deceased mother. Oh
But
no.
okay, this was Zdarsky's last book in this. Guess what he does, what he repeats from the first book.
I don't
Maybe it wasn't the
remember at
first
this
book.
point.
Maybe it was because I know he also did this. You know what? I'm backtracking. He did this in Tom King's book. He surfs a plane and
Oh,
lands it.
yeah. That was
That was the beginning of the Gotham run.
yeah.
But either way,
Gotham Girl.
but he does that again. I'm like, did you really need to do this? But okay. Well, it kind of does it at the beginning of the Zdarsky run too with the space thing.
It's canon. Here we are.
But they brought back the surfing the plane into the middle of the street. Okay, that was all. I wanted to mention that.
Oh man, that was a lot of comics, but that is gonna do it for us here at the Polis Podcast. Episode 112 is now in the books and now in your ears and your eyeballs. You should watch us.
It's in every
true.
orifice you let it be.
I mean, it's true. You can check us out on YouTube now, so don't miss that. You can see us. You can see the truly amazing Captain America popcorn bucket that you heard sounds of at the beginning of this
freaking
episode.
Transformer.
But as many of you know, we take this epic journey of podcast and fandom with lots of other amazing podcasts over on the Love Thy Nerd podcast network. So be sure to visit lovethynerd.com for more info, previous episodes, maybe find yourself a new show. There's tons and tons of new content over there now. Hector's got tons of content over there too. So,
I recorded 3 on Monday night.
There you go. Check out all the things. But Hector and I do want to thank you for choosing us as your primary comic book knowledge factory on a near weekly basis. So don't leave us hanging. Rate, review the show. Slam that like. Like and subscribe. Not monetized. But rate and review the show on your podcasting app of choice. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher Radio.
Comment on the videos on YouTube.
There you go.
Because
Yeah,
Matt's been sending us notes on that.
Oh, well, if you like it, say so. If you don't like it, well, say so. We'll downvote you every time. But just kidding. But thanks for listening, and remember, kids, read more comics.
I'm gonna take all 7 continents, the game of risk.